reading list is all about time.
We'll talk to philosophers, poets, and physicists who've put time at the center of their thought and writing.
Time for summer reading. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here to meet your urgent and emergent medical needs, whether they are COVID-19 related or not. Medical emergencies happen when you least expect them, whether it's a stroke, heart attack, illness, or injury. San Juan Regional Medical Center's caregivers are here to provide care to you and your loved ones. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It's Tuesday morning, August 25th. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Micklin. Thank you for tuning in to KSJE. 90.9 FM over the air in San Juan County, 103.3 FM over the air in the Durango, Colorado area, and of course we're streaming everywhere from our website, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are watching this visual radio program, streaming live to the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We're glad that you are with us this morning, everyone. Our topic today is education, and we're focusing on Bloomfield, of course. My guest in the next few moments from Bloomfield is Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell. She'll be joining us here in just a few moments via Zoom, so we hope you'll stay tuned for that conversation right here on KSJE. Then, of course, later on this hour, we'll be checking in with Amber Francisco over at the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter, sharing with you some of the pets that are available for adoption this week. Some dogs and cats on the list, including the 2-month-old kitten that's on the screen right now, whose name is Bagel. We'll talk more about Bagel coming up this morning at 8:50 a.m. right here on KSJE. The next hour, Mick Hess hosts our classical music program, Roving with the Arts. It is Tuesday, of course, and Mick is playing more music from Bach. He is featuring Bach today on Roving with the Arts, so don't miss that coming up this morning after the news at 9:06 on KSJE. And, of course, we invite you to connect with us on Twitter and on Instagram, in addition to our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can follow along at KSJE_news on Twitter or at KSJE on Twitter as well, and of course on Instagram. Our weather forecast, it's looking like a good chance for maybe some showers over the next couple of days. We're expecting some increasing clouds today, 93 for a high in Farmington, scattered showers in the forecast, maybe a thunderstorm popping up. Overnight, still a chance of some rain with a low of 64. 93 tomorrow, same story, scattered clouds, scattered showers developing as well. 95 on Thursday, 94 on Friday, lower 90s for the weekend. Still that chance of a storm is in the forecast for the next several days, and overnight lows are mostly in the 60s. So that is the weather forecast coming up today, of course, right here in the region. And right now, outside our studios, it is now 69 degrees in Farmington as we head into our Tuesday together. Well, let me introduce my guest who is here with us this morning, joining me via Zoom this morning. Dr. Kim Mizell is here from her office in Bloomfield. Dr. Mizell, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you and have you with us. Thank you for being here. And of course, the big question is, things are heading back into classes. Your students, your staff are learning, albeit in an online way. And so tell us how things are going for Bloomfield schools.
Well, we had a good start. We've been kind of collecting some data with connectivity and postings that are happening in the school district. For example, we were able to check out 1,663 computers at this point, which is 81%. So I want to encourage any parents of children that are in 3rd through 12th grade to make arrangements to get their Chromebook, because it's not 100%, and we want to make sure that all our kids have a way to do the virtual learning.
Right. In fact, you had, pardon me for interrupting, but you had called out kind of a shout out to your IT folks on Facebook just a few days ago about the distribution efforts that they were making to get the technology into the hands of your parents and your students, correct?
That's right. They're doing an amazing job. It was about a 2-week process to get everything arranged prior to August 17th, and that's how many we checked out at this point. So as of last Monday, which is a start date.
Right.
And the exciting thing is, we started preparing for this pretty much 5 months ago at the end of March.
Right.
Making sure we made the purchases very quickly so that we would get our devices on time. And we've been blessed. So we were able to fully start virtually without any hiccups as far as providing devices for our students. And then we also have the packets for those that don't have connectivity. We are providing those through the schools and also delivering them out to chapter houses. And they're helping. There's a great partnership that's going on with the Nageezi and Wefano chapters to distribute the packets to the students, and they can pick them up there. And so we're also working on getting hotspots out south of Bloomfield as well. So we're slowly but surely getting up and going where we're pretty efficient with what we're doing, and I have some numbers to share with you, which is pretty neat.
Sure.
Right now we have, as far as classrooms, Google Classroom activity is 837 classrooms that are being set up and are being utilized. Teachers have posted 2,379 posts to get the students engaged and involved in the learning process. There's a lot of video Google Meeting going on with 2,149 active participants. So that means the majority of our students are engaged in learning online and virtually. And then 11,807 files shared. So just to give you an idea, and that was the first day of school. So we're kind of monitoring it to see that, how it's all working. I went and observed teachers teaching virtually, and also have popped in some classrooms, and it's pretty impressive what the teachers have done with the preparation that we made this summer to make all the classes virtually kind of engaging with our wonderful team of teachers that prepared everything. We started in May getting everything aligned. So we have K-12 curriculum in all areas, in all content prepared and ready to go for the first quarter. So there's a lot of consistency in Bloomfield with what's being presented, and the teachers are just moving forward with teaching, and the kids are learning, so it's exciting.
That's good to hear. Very good. My guest this morning, Dr. Kim Mizell, is joining us from her offices in Bloomfield, the superintendent of schools for the Bloomfield School District. And Dr. Mizell, I want to ask you a bit about what we talked about earlier, which is the technology, the handing out these Chromebooks to your students. And of course, if they have connectivity at home, that's great. But if they don't, I imagine that those Chromebooks still allow the students to do some work on those computers and allow them to maybe upload everything at once if they can get to a hotspot or download things at once. Is that kind of the idea behind this?
Yes. On our website, we have locations where they can go in a parking lot and download anything they might need to work on. For example, Mesa Alta Junior High's parking lot, the high school, and Blanco parking lot are all locations. And then we've partnered with the Baptist Church. They're also supporting the work in our community. And then also those chapter houses have internet access. And then we're putting 5 additional hotspots at strategic locations on the reservation to try to help our students have access. And we're hoping to get some more. We had a person that was a private donor out of Santa Fe who actually gave us money to buy 10 additional hotspots and 200 more Chromebooks. So with that, we were able to add 3rd grade this year. We originally started with 4th grade, and then we went ahead and added 3rd grade. So we feel very blessed and lucky to be having the success that we are having. Obviously, it's not the preferred way of teaching and learning, but we're making the best of it.
Sure, right. Well, and the thing too is you're able to buy this stuff too, because I've heard a lot of shortages maybe with technology, because you and every other school district, I think, is looking to buy these hotspots and Chromebooks and things like that. But you got your orders in, and you've been able to get these out to your families.
Yes. I don't know, you might want to call it divine intervention. I don't know. I had a feeling in March that this was going to be a huge issue. So we went ahead and didn't wait for our CARES Act money. We placed the orders, and we made sure that we got all the PPE, the sanitizers, the computers, everything ordered in March, because I knew that there was going to be a run on everything. So thank goodness for that
Right.
futuristic thinking, and it's worked out for Bloomfield, and we're proud of the work that we've been able to do.
Very true. Well, and the other thing I want to ask you about too is you got the attention of the Public Education Department Secretary, because I think he was interested in learning more about what was going on in Bloomfield, Secretary Stewart, and you had a meeting not too long ago. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, he came to visit us, and I was kind of actually surprised. Usually he comes through Bloomfield on his way to Farmington, so I just... this is the first time he's ever actually made a point to visit us in Bloomfield, which was a surprise to me. But he really just wanted to see what preparation we had made and the plans we had made to get ready for the students to come back into the schools. And so we provided a lot of documentation. We have documents on our website of how much preparation and planning has occurred. And we have it very well outlined for a very fluid scenario. For example, we may open up and have to close again. So with that, we have plans to be able to do that. We have the virtual learning set up that if a child or a family ends up getting the COVID-19, they can participate online learning anyway. It doesn't impact or disrupt their learning process. So we really worked hard to make sure that happened, and he was very appreciative of that. I had been communicating pretty much throughout the whole process with the State Department and sharing out what we were doing to help with the thinking around this type of pandemic crisis in educational systems. So I think he really wanted to see things in action, and he came here and he went to Navaani, and we had a nice visit, and the article really was well written and actually caught the essence of the meeting. So I was pleased with what came out of the Daily Times on that.
Very good. Well, that's always good to hear, and congratulations again to you. And I think, the Bloomfield district, when we take a look at it, really does encompass a lot of differences that maybe represent parts of our state. I mean, you have kind of a more urban area in the city of Bloomfield, of course, and some very rural areas as the district stretches down Highway 550 onto the reservation and things along that line. And you were dealing with these issues for all of your students, and maybe that's what got his attention. I don't know.
I think so. Our kids ride the bus an hour and a half in every day and an hour and a half out. And so, we also put hotspots on the buses. So hopefully they can do their homework while they're headed home. We have 10 buses that are pretty much service the southern area and out towards Blanco and the Largo Canyon area towards the dam. And so we're working real hard to try to get access for our students. It's obviously not a perfect scenario, but it's the best we can do right now. And we're in collaboration with our chapter houses and actually the Navajo Nation. They are having meetings pretty much every Tuesday. And so we're trying to communicate what we feel needs to happen, and they're letting us know what they feel needs to happen. And a lot of collaboration is happening in that way. And so we're doing everything we can to try to provide access and support to our families. Sacred Winds, if people aren't aware, if you're a low-income person, you can qualify for free internet. And that's all on our website. You can find the application and the process there.
Very good. Let me ask you a bit about your teachers too, because they certainly have stepped up, right, to put all their materials and classes online and to make these things engaging for their students, and they have been working, as you said, I think for months to make this transition work, and without knowing if they're going to be all online or partially online or face to face or whatever the case may be. Talk to me a little bit about them, how they've been doing during all this.
I have to say my principals and teachers are the true champions of this process. They have been amazing. We had professional development on the first day back for their contract for the whole week, on making sure that they felt well supported and equipped to be able to do the virtual learning. And they have produced some amazing learning opportunities for students. And some of the creativity that's coming out of this is just so impressive, and I'm very proud of all the teachers. Some of us that are not digital natives have had to join the world of working with virtual learning and Zoom, and just like this is all, to me, it's kind of magical. And that's what I feel is happening in Bloomfield, and I'm just so proud of everyone for all the work that they've done. We even had like a virtual open house at one of our elementaries where every teacher had prepared their open house presentation where parents could get on a Zoom invite, or actually we use Google Meets, and it was amazing. They had their own little icons that they created, and it was kind of animated, so it was fun for the families, and just the creativity is amazing. And I think we all have to realize that don't let our own limitation limit what we can do for students. And they are rising to the occasion and doing amazing work.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. And of course, the big question that I imagine parents are wondering is face-to-face. When can students come back to the classroom? When can they maybe get out of the house and see their teachers in their classrooms? And I imagine that's a question that you and your teachers have as well, right?
Right. I'm a little hesitant to make an official announcement. We are very dependent on the case numbers that are occurring and how it works regionally. And the governor is the final say in all of this. And so I have requested that we get a absolute go with virtual learning about a week prior to what the date that has been specified, which was September 8th. But I'm afraid to say for officially anything until we hear from our governor. So just stay tuned and be prepared for whatever may come. And hopefully the answer is yes, a definite go. We will start with elementary phase in and move forward. But it's kind of iffy sometimes with how the trends move and the cases and what's happening nationally with schools opening. I think she's really monitoring everything and making her decisions based on information that's out there. So we have to kind of wait and see for things.
Of course. And we've heard a lot that, maybe the virus really determines how decisions are made, and these case numbers and things like that you mentioned that we are following, and the governor certainly is following with advice from her cabinet secretaries and things along that line. We've seen, of course, that Albuquerque Public Schools have decided to stick with this online learning through the end of the calendar year, and that was a big decision on their part. But I imagine that has a lot of consequences as well to make a big decision like that.
Yes, I know that probably many districts are right now considering that, just for the reason of, Scott, we all kind of feel like it's not if, it's when a case occurs in a school. Once we start moving forward with 50% of our students in the schools and
right.
Teachers in the schools. So I definitely justified concern around that. And I think that's why those districts have made that decision. In Albuquerque, I know the superintendent had said that he originally had to close 3 schools because he just didn't have enough space to do the isolation of, for example, if a case breaks out in the classroom, you take that entire classroom and you move them to another room to sanitize the room. Well, you're running out of alternate classrooms. So he was struggling around what the protocols were for a COVID case in Albuquerque. So he's actually had to close 4 schools as soon as they opened. So I think the struggles with that kind of played into their decision. We have not had a case or anything in our schools. We currently have some of our highest need special ed students in school right now, and pre-K as well. So we're just moving along and making sure that we're following the procedures to make sure everyone's safe. And we're actually keeping our fingers crossed. If you want to be
Understood.
honest about it, we're doing the best we can. So the challenge is controlling a virus, which I don't know that it can be totally controlled. So
Right. But as you said, I think you're in the same boat as a lot of educators and leaders about doing the best that you can with the COVID safe practices and things along that line. And to be clear, the Albuquerque Public Schools is a much different school district than Bloomfield Schools. It's certainly much more urban, and certainly many of their students, I would imagine, would have access to some form of internet connectivity, as opposed to what we were talking about for students maybe in your district, where it's a bit more of a challenge. So I'm not suggesting that you should make that same decision.
yeah. At this point in time, we're very hopeful to see the kids come back to school. But the scenarios and cases and situations will definitely help us to make our decision as well. And so you're right, Albuquerque is much more dense and they have access to internet, whereas we're struggling with the access piece and doing our best to get that out to our southern area students. And the other issue that we do have is that the Navajo Nation has a shelter in place right now, so
That's
they're
true.
not to leave their homes. And so how do we get this to them, is a concern of mine. And so we're trying to work through the chapter houses, but that still requires that they leave their home and go to the chapter house to pick it up. But that's the best solution we could think of right now. We're still delivering meals out to them,
Right.
and through the bus stop delivery. So we continued with that, but we can't manage food and packets, and then also the more back and forth touching of things needs to be controlled. So we're just going to move forward with the packets being out at the chapter houses if they want to pick them up.
Very good. And Dr. Mizell, let me ask you to put on your look into your crystal ball into the future, and classes, face-to-face classes, have resumed at some point in the future at Bloomfield schools, and now many more of your students now have these Chromebooks that they will be able to, I assume, to use back in the schools when they come back. Is that going to be part of learning moving forward, that these students will have these Chromebooks to use for their schoolwork?
Yes, those Chromebooks are to stay with them. We're not sharing any devices. So, controlling that scenario with cohorts. So the students should bring their computers to school with them when they come. And then on the off days, they'll do their assignments. We are going to move towards A-B scenario where we have A group and B group. So A group will come on Monday and Tuesday, and then B group will be on Thursday, Friday. Wednesday will be a cleaning day for our schools. We will have no one in the buildings. We will be cleaning for the cohort changes. Classrooms have been set up with A and B rows so that they're 6 feet apart. So the B students will sit in their seats when they come, and the A students will sit in their seats when they arrive.
I see.
We didn't have enough places to store all the desks, so that was a wonderful solution that a principal came up with, and I thought, what a great idea. So the creativity that happens and the thinking around this is greatly appreciated when it comes to opening up the schools.
Well, you bet. And having these conversations, too, kind of, I think, let our listeners and viewers realize how much work and thought have gone into managing this situation, from just trying to figure out a place where you'd store desks that you won't be using, or how do you figure that out. But that's a big change for Bloomfield schools to be able to have these computers for most of your students. We're talking grades 3 through 12.
Yes, it's a big change. we've wanted to do it. We just haven't had the money to do it. And so obviously the private donor definitely
Right.
helped. But it's close to $500,000 invested in devices for our district. So, we want everybody to take care of them because we need to keep using them. And we're a little concerned about replacement cost. And, this is the first time we have done this. So we're hoping that everybody appreciates them and takes care of them so that we don't have to replace a whole bunch of computers. So we're working on right now possible replacement cost if something were to happen to the devices. Education is supposed to be free, but right now it's not real free because we have to pay for things that we normally haven't had. We've always had a lot of computers in the schools for testing and off computer time, but this is a whole different scenario. So we're just hopeful it all works out, and we have hired additional technology people to support the work that we're doing, which is going to be needed. It always requires people to maintain what you start, and you have to think through that.
Right. Well, and you've got a bunch more, probably, I would say hundreds more computers logging onto your networks when these kids come back to school than you had before. Dr. Mizell, let me ask you a little bit about your magazine. That is a tradition that is continuing for the district?
Yes, we do have our magazine. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It will be coming out.
There it is.
To the families, and those are 3 seniors. They're pretty precious to me because one of them's my daughter and then her 2 friends, and they are also employees' children. So it's their senior year, and honestly, they're the ones I feel the worst for because they really are getting robbed of that final year of education. But they're making the best of it, obviously. And we also are giving away this year 2 cars. This is one of them that we have a wonderful partnership with Zimes Ford.
Right.
And we're giving away 2 cars for any high school student that maintains a 3.5 GPA or higher by the end of the year. Their names will be put into a pot, and we'll draw 2 names. So we're trying to encourage the students to stay engaged and involved in the learning process. And this is one way that I could support that.
Very good. And of course, that's been quite popular. You've been doing this for a number of years. Prior to COVID, it was kind of perfect attendance, and now you've switched it over to GPAs. But again, you still have the support of the businesses. And I know when the students win these vehicles, they have got to be super excited to get a new to them set of wheels to drive around it.
Right. I'm hopeful. Our students, we're 100% free and reduced lunch. So a lot of them struggle to get that car to drive around. I know that I got hand-me-downs from my sisters so when I was younger, and my mom's hand-me-downs. So, they really appreciate getting the vehicle. Some of them may use it for a jump start into going to college or working or whatever may happen. In the past, we had some lower classmen receive it, so they were motivated to get their driver's license because they didn't even have a driver's license.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's been an interesting process, but I know that the families of the students really appreciate it as well. And it's just something that I can do to encourage students to be a part of the process and be engaged in the learning process. It's right now, everything is up to them to learn and get involved and participate. And so I just want to encourage them to do that. And this is one motivational tool.
Very good. You mentioned your seniors, of course, the one in your household, and of course the rest of the Bloomfield seniors this year, which are going to have a little different year than traditional seniors. But I imagine we have seen in school districts across the country that there are still some traditions that can move forward, and maybe some traditions that can be tweaked a little bit and changed to be able to move on, and maybe some new traditions in this new world that we find ourselves in. Is that what you're hoping for your Bloomfield seniors?
Yes, I think, of all people, they're probably some of the more creative people in the world. The high school kids, they have social media that they just maneuver in and out of, and are engaged in communicating on a daily basis with their friends through different mediums. I know the Instagram and a lot of those things that my daughter, she's involved in. I think it keeps her connected. I've tried to do the things that I would traditionally do with going back to school, like going and getting a few new things to wear and getting her hair cut, just basic things. This year, I'm hoping volleyball gets started. She's a volleyball player, so
Right.
I went ahead and got her a Planet Fitness membership, and now I've been going, so I go with her. So that's a positive thing, and so we're enjoying that time together. Obviously, I have that feeling of a mother that is going to miss her good friend, her daughter, when she goes off to college, but I'm trying to encourage her to be as normal as possible with the world the way it is. We do control who she goes with and make sure she wears her mask, and trying to ensure some things to make sure that we keep ourselves safe and her safe. I have a mother who's 81 years old, and my husband and I don't want to get sick, so we have been working to control that scenario. So yes, I think the kids are resilient, and I've been impressed with what they've been able to do. When I got on and watched my daughter in a class that she was in, I was really impressed with the teacher's presentation and the students' participation. They can ask questions, and it's direct instruction, and they're following their daily schedule throughout the day. So it's like they're in school all day long. However, it is exhausting to be on Google conference calls all day, but some impressive learnings happening with what I have seen so far.
Very true. Well, it's certainly a different world, a new world, and some certainly creative thinking, as you mentioned, from your teachers, from your students, and from your families. I know in Bloomfield, we had a shout out earlier on our Facebook page. Kudos to you and Bloomfield staff for stepping up and getting their students back and ready to go. So I appreciate your time this morning, Dr. Mizell. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, and thank everybody for supporting the district. We appreciate everyone.
You bet. Very good. Thank you so much. That is Bloomfield Schools Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell, my guest this morning here on KSJE. And I'll be back with more in just a moment, everyone. The time right now is 8:41.
Hi, I'm Scott Micklin. As a longtime resident and advocate for San Juan County, I care deeply about this community, and I know you do too. Today, making a difference is easy. All you need to do is complete your 2020 census. The census is so important. It determines how funding is allocated for roads, public schools, nonprofits, and many other critical programs. It's only 10 questions. The deadline is nearing. Make sure you get counted and benefit San Juan County. Complete the census when you receive your invitation from the U.S.